In Fairplay, I found a little tourist newspaper with a tiny little story that caught my eye. Over Fairplay, there is a beautiful mountain that looms, a mountain peak, and there's a name for it. This story, which I adapted from that little newspaper clipping, is the legend of Silverheels, the name of that mountain. Sarah Markham was 12 years old, and she absolutely loved to go down to the stage stop when the stagecoach came in. She usually went with her mother because her dad ran a general store in Buckskin Joe, the town we call known today as Fairplay. And Buckskin Joe was just a wild and unruly place, lots of people coming through. It was a gold mining camp in its day. But they would go down to that stop, wait for the stagecoach to come in, and they'd bring supplies and news from back east or Denver. Most of all, new people would come off that stage. One day she was waiting with her mother. Didn't happen often, maybe once a month. Here came the stagecoach. It came wheeling in really fast. The horses were hot and dusty and lathered, and the driver pulled back on those reins and they stopped, snorting and stomping. And then the men began to throw down the luggage and the supplies off the top of that stagecoach. What Sarah wanted to see was who was going to come out of the stagecoach. Sure enough, the stagecoach door opened, and the first person to step out was just another prospector, dirty old fella, ready to come and make his fortune. But instead of walking on his way, he turned around and, like some sort of gentleman, held his hand out for somebody inside. Next, she saw a small white hand clasp his, a small foot step on the first step of the coach, and out stepped a woman wearing silver-heeled shoes. She had on a black tailored traveling dress, a veil to keep the dust off her face, and from what little Sarah could tell, she was quite pretty. Well, the man helped her out, and all the others bustled around to try to be the one to get her luggage to carry to the hotel. As she walked by, the woman took a look at Sarah's mother and nodded, and Sarah's mother acted kind of strange. She didn't really smile, and she frowned and looked away. The woman nodded at Sarah, and Sarah nodded back and smiled and went on her way. That evening, when they were sitting at dinner, Sarah, her brother, and her parents, her dad was in there. He was eating. You know, Mary, I heard some stuff about that woman who came in on the stagecoach today. They call her Silverheels because of her shoes, I guess, but they call her Silverheels. And they say that she sings like a canary, and she's beautiful, got a beautiful face. Of course, I haven't seen her myself. James Markham, you don't need to be talking about a woman like that around the children. Besides, how do you know so much about her? Mary, now, you know, the store, I get all the news. And you wouldn't believe all the miners coming in to buy a clean shirt, a shaving kit, and cologne to go hear her sing tonight at the saloon. She's the new saloon girl. I don't want you to talk about it anymore, James. Suit yourself. And so Sarah, unfortunately, didn't get to hear anything more about this woman, but she was captivated by her. She thought, oh, what if she was back east, she married a gambler, and he took her out west and left her? And of course she had to make a living. Or what if What if she just liked what she did? Sarah wanted to be an author someday, so she had a great imagination. Now, it so happened that just like anybody else, Silverheels had to go to the store from time to time to get something. So one day, Sarah, who helped her dad out frequently on a Saturday when she wasn't in school, was there. And who came in but Miss Silverheels? She stepped in the door, no veil this time, and Sarah could get a really good look at her. She was a petite woman, dressed neatly. She had flawless complexion, almond eyes, raven black hair, done up in a twist, a French twist. Silverheels looked around and saw Sarah. Well, hello, young lady. What's your name? It's Sarah. Well, Sarah, that's a great, very fine name. I like your name very much. Does that happen to be your father who owns the store? Yes, ma'am. Well, I bet you could show me where the toiletries are. Well, Sarah looked over at her father and he said, okay. So she took Silverheels over to look at the toiletries, get what she needed. And as a thank you, Silverheels bought her a beautiful hair ribbon. Sarah, you wear this on special occasions like church on Sunday. I will, ma'am. Thanks. Off the woman went. Sarah loved that ribbon, but she hid it in the drawer under her underwear because, well, she was afraid her mother would ask her where she got it and not like it. She just took it out once in a while and enjoyed looking at it. This was 1861. And as I told you, back in those days, well, it was a rough town. You had prospectors, gamblers, you had settlers who wanted to come and make a new home for themselves. Everybody came through town. It got so crowded sometimes on the streets that you were rubbing elbows with strangers. I guess that's how it happened. People started to get sick, really sick, from smallpox. Nobody knew how. Could have been one of those prospectors who came into town and didn't even realize that he had it. Well, it ran through that town like the plague. People began to die. This was a killing disease in those days. They had to shut the school. They had to shut the 2 churches down. People who were well mostly stayed home. But they took that schoolhouse, made it into a hospital. As more people got sick, they had to expand into the churches. And everybody who was well pitched in to help. The women were cooking, including Sarah's mom, and they were washing and taking things over for those who were assisting the sick. They only had one doctor in town. And boy, he worked day and night. Even her father, because he had the general store, well, he offered whatever supplies that he could give because there was no way a stagecoach was going to stop in town as long as smallpox was rampant. Nobody expected, though, of all people, that the dance hall girl would roll up her sleeves and get to work nursing the people who were sick. She worked alongside the doctor day and night. She would sit and sing to people, read to them, talk to them, bathe them, take care of them. Sometimes they lived. Sometimes she sang them into the next life. Finally, the disease ran its course. And when it did, Silverheels, I guess, you've done this. Some of you have taught and teach. You push yourself and push yourself. I can't get sick. Or through any big project, I can't get sick. And then when everything is over, you get sick. She got the smallpox. But now there were all kinds of people willing to help her and take care of her, including Mrs. Markham, Sarah's mother. Now, Sarah didn't get to go see her because mother was afraid she'd get the smallpox, but they took care of Silverheels. And when she was just about well, Sarah finally got to go visit. She went into that hotel room and tried not to let the shock show. Because when she looked at Silverheels, gone was that flawless complexion. Instead, her face was full of scars, pock marks from that terrible disease. Silverheels asked her to make some tea, so Sarah went to make some tea, and she watched out of the corner of her eye as apparently this was the first time Silverheels had gotten up out of bed, and she was really wobbly, and she walked over to the mirror. She didn't say anything, but she saw. Sarah spent the afternoon with her and hoped she would see her soon. Well, the next day, the miners in town had gathered about 2 good-sized bags of gold dust. They wanted to present it to Silverheels as a gift for all she had done to take care of people. But when they got to her hotel room, they found it empty, everything gone. She had slipped away in the night. They put one of those bags up as a reward for anybody who might find her and try to bring her back to Buckskin Joe, the town. But days and then weeks went by, and it was clear she would not return. Sarah asked her mother one day, "Mama, why did Silverheels leave?" "Well, honey, her face was her money. And I know she could still sing, but I figure she thought she was through as a performer and as a dance hall girl." Sarah thought about that, and all she could think and say was, "I wish Silverheels understood how much she means to Buckskin Joe, that she's much more than a pretty face." The legend of Silverheels.